Okay, 10.3, solving rational equations. Essential question, what methods are there for solving rational equations? So I'm going to teach you a couple of different ways. And the first way is found on page 543, and it's to solve by graphing. Now, this is going to be like problems 1 and 2 on your homework. Solve graphically. You can work this in your book on page 543. It says solve the rational equation x over x minus 3 equals 2 by graphing. First thing you're going to do is identify any excluded values. A number is an excluded value of a rational expression if substituting the number into the expression results in a division by 0. Which means you're just going to set the denominator equal to 0. So x minus 3 equals 0, so x would equal 3. 3 is the excluded value. Part B. So 3 is an excluded value of the rational equation. Rewrite the equation with 0 on one side. So I'm going to move the 2 to the other side. When you move it to the other side, it makes it negative. So x over x minus 3 minus 2 equals 0. Now I can't put that minus 2 up with the x in the numerator, and I can't put it with the x minus 3 in the denominator. It's just kind of by itself. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the table of values, and we're going to put this in the calculator because it will be easier to get the values. So if you will, go to y equals, you're going to put x over, and then you're going to put parentheses x minus 3 minus 2. So go to y equals x divided by parentheses x minus 3 minus 2. Go to second table. Find the values when x is 0. What is y? Negative 2. When x is 1, negative 2.5. So 1, negative 2.5. 2 would be negative 4. 4, 2, 5.5, and 9. Negative 0.5. Okay, now I'm going to plot those points. 0, negative 2. Now notice our graph is in 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. Instead of 1s this time. So 0, negative 2. 1, negative 2.5. 2, negative 4. 4, 2. 5, 1/2, and 9, negative 0.5. So if you look at the graph, it's going to come down this way, and it's going to meet these points right here. I just don't know what my vertical and horizontal asymptotes are. I know that my vertical is going to be what? 3. What about my horizontal?
-1.
It is -1. How did you know that, Dex? I was looking at the graph. It looks like it's -1. But if I would have put that over 1 and getting a common denominator and worked through the problem, I would see that it's at -1. Or you can look just on your calculator and tell that it's at -1. So my graph would come here along -1 and down next to that boundary. And then it would go here, go through those points, and go next to that boundary. Okay, part E. It says identify any x-intercepts of the graph. Now, for it to be an x-intercept, y must be 0. So I can look at my table and see when y is 0. 6. 6, 0. That means that my graph should have gone through 6, 0. There's 2, 4, 6, 0 right there, which it did. Now remember back a while back, an x-intercept is also known as a what? A 0, which is also known as a what? A root, and it's also known as a solution or answer. So is the value of x an excluded value? What is the value of x? It's 6. 6 is my answer. 6 is where it crosses the x-axis. That is the solution. Was that an excluded value?
Yeah.
No. What was my excluded value?
3.
3. That's how you graph a rational equation. That's like problems 1 and 2 on your homework. All right, let's go to page 545, your turn, number 3. Put this in your notes, in your Cornell notes. Example 3. So in problems 3 through 8 on your homework, we're only looking for the LCD. Now what's the LCD stand for? Least common denominator. So really all we're doing is looking at our denominators. Let's go ahead and take out what this has in common. What does this denominator have in common? 8. I would take that out, which would leave me what? X minus 3. What about this denominator? 10. Which would leave me x minus 3. Now, when I have just numbers, I must look at those numbers and find the LCD of those numbers. So what is the least common denominator? What is the smallest number that those two numbers will go into? 40. They will both go into 40. That's the smallest. 8 will go into 40 and 10 will go into 40. There is nothing smaller that 8 and 10 will go into. And then I must have also in my denominator x minus 3. That right there is my least common denominator. You don't have to do the top on these. You're just finding the denominator. 3 through 8. Number 4. We're still just looking for the least common denominator. Over here on the left on this denominator, what do they have in common? 15. What does that leave me? X plus 4. Over here on the right, I'm going to have to factor that, which will factor into what?
X plus 4, X plus 5.
X plus 4, X plus 5. Now, there's not another number besides 15, so 15 must be in my denominator. I took care of the 15. X plus 4 must be in my denominator. It is. And X plus 5 must be in my denominator. Do I have everything covered? Yes. Any questions on that? Problems 3 through 8. Least common denominator. Okay, we're going to stay on page 545. Example A. Put this in your notes. Okay, right there in the middle of the page, solving rational equations algebraically. Now, what does an equation mean?
Set numbers used to find a solution.
Okay, we're finding a solution, but what has to be in my problem to make it an equation?
Equal sign.
Equal sign. All right, so I have to have an equal sign, so I'm going to really solve this for x. Since I have a fraction equaling a fraction, these are the easiest ones to work because you can just cross multiply. If I have a fraction equaling a fraction, I just cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply 3x plus 7 times 2x minus 10 equals 5x plus 17 times x minus 5. So I'm going to FOIL this or box it. I prefer to FOIL, but I will show either one. I'm going to box over here. 3x plus 7, 2x minus 10. If you like to FOIL, just hang on and I'll FOIL it in just a second. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. 7 times 2x is 14x. 3x times negative 10 is negative 30x. And 7 times negative 10 is negative 70, and then you would add like terms to get this equation here. If you like to FOIL it, first would be 3x times 2x is 6x squared. Outside 3x times negative 10 is negative 30x. Inside is 14x. And last would be negative 70. You would combine these two here in the middle. 6x squared minus 16x minus 70. On the right side of the equation, if I FOIL that, it would be 5x squared minus 25x plus 17x minus, somebody help me out,
85.